Hey, what's up, guys? Martin here. It is 13th of August, Tuesday, 2024, and we have an update from the Met Office around 2 p.m. today, which I would like to share with you guys. And we have some new data released that's very, very interesting regarding seismic activity and some hazard assessments. So let's get to it. Deformation signals and seismic activity show similar patterns as prior to the last eruption on the Sonunkur crater row. Model calculations also suggest that the volume of magma beneath Svartsvingi is now estimated to be greater than it was prior to the last eruption, which started on May 29th. Prior to the onset, land uplift and magma accumulation continues for 2 weeks until an eruption started. It can thus be assumed that magma propagation in volcanic eruption can start at any time, but based on previous occurrences, it may be delayed. And I'll show you in this graph that we're looking at here that's very, very cool and very interesting to see. Seismic activity in the area has increased in recent weeks, and development is similar as before the previous magma propagations and volcanic eruptions. The last 7 days have been similar, with about 60 to 80 earthquakes detected per day in the area between Stor Skagfell and Grandavik. Most of the earthquakes are at the depths between 2 to 4 kilometers, but the shallowest in the areas between Stor Skagfell and Sælingarfell. So we have these upticks that we've been seeing of earthquakes. So now we're getting 60 to 80 earthquakes per day since last few weeks. So the uptick has gone up. The deepest areas are between 2 to 4 kilometers, but the shallowest ones are between Stor Skagfell and Sælingarfell, which is where I mostly focus when I send the drone out. And also on the secondary camera that I have is between Stor Skagfell and Sælingarfell. And that's the area where most of the ticks are happening, most of the earthquakes, and most of the shallowest earthquakes. So that's very, very interesting. Also, the estimated magma beneath Svartsvingi is over 20 million cubic meters. So we have passed the cubic meters from the last eruption in May 29th. We are past that. So we're seeing a lot more magma that could potentially be erupted in this area. So it's going to be very, very interesting. Now, let me show you this great seismic activity diagram pattern that was shared by the Met Office, which is absolutely amazing. I love these overviews and comparisons just to see how things develop. So let's open it up a little bit bigger, and let's just focus on the eruption points, which are the red stars, as we see here. And then the blue is all the seismic activity of earthquakes from 0 to 4 magnitude. So let's start off with the eruption on 18th of December 2023. And let's start off how it started with the earthquakes. As we see, it was between 1 to 2 magnitude of earthquakes until it picked up and around the 3 magnitude to 4, and that's when it popped, and then we had that eruption. The eruption on January 14th, 2024, similar pattern, begins between 1 to 2 magnitude, and then it starts picking up, okay? And then it goes into 2, and then by 3 and 4, it pops. The eruption on February 8th, 2024, we see a similar pattern, magnitudes of 1 and a half, some 2, and then it hits 3 magnitude and it pops. So far, based on the first 3, we have a very similar continuous pattern, but a slight decrease in the eruption point in magnitude. Okay. Now let's go to the eruption on March 16th, 2024. And this one is a little bit more spread out, as we see the activity happening here. And then we have that bump for the dike progression on March 2nd. And then it comes back down, and then we start getting a more accumulated earthquakes. And these are lower. These are between under 1 to 1 magnitude. And then when it pops around just below 2 magnitude. So the eruption points from here slightly go downwards again. Okay, and now let's move on to the eruption, the last eruption we had, which was May 29th, 2024, and see this long progression of pauses and earthquakes, okay, and then it begins in the beginning of May, where it starts ticking, and you get the 1 magnitude, under 1 magnitude, and then it really starts kicking off, okay, in mid-May. Starts really kicking off 1 magnitude. It hits some 2s, goes back down, but a lot of earthquakes, as you can see the accumulation. And then when it really pops, it hits 3. So here the pattern of the when it erupts slightly goes upwards. So it dipped for the first 4, and then for the last eruption in May, it slightly went up. Now we're in the current situation, okay? This current situation, this pattern is very, very similar. It's starting to look very, very similar to May 29th eruption, where nothing happens for quite a while, till July, and then it starts picking up, okay, the earthquakes. We get some 1s, mostly under 1 magnitude. Then we get the little spikes up to 2, and then comes back down, okay? And then now we're reaching the point of the accumulation of earthquakes, the amount of earthquakes, some that take up to 2 and then come back down, but we're getting a tremendous amount again. And I think, as you can see here, we are slightly hitting the past 2 magnitude, and we saw those. I believe it was 2 days ago, where we saw the 2 magnitude near Thorbjorn and the naval radio tower near Grandavik, where it was hitting 2 magnitude. So now we're at a point where this is when the picking up of the earthquakes start happening. And I think just to kind of like connect it with the last eruption, I think we are somewhere here, okay, somewhere there in this area, the last part. We are somewhere here, just before this pop. Now, what's going to be interesting is, will it have a more intense pop that goes upwards in an upward trend, or will it stay the same around the 3 magnitude, or will it decrease, maybe slightly less before the pop? That's the interesting question that I'm looking forward to seeing. So, great graph. I'll put the link to this in the description so you can check it out. And now let's move on to the hazard assessment. So there's two scenarios here. So this map, you've seen it before. It's got the zones, okay? Zone 1, Zone 2, Zone 3, Zone 4, Zone 5. And it has a scale of hazard. Orange meaning mid, intermediate, or moderate. Red is high. If you see purple, it's super high. And green is lower. So two interesting scenarios that are brought to the table here. Scenario 1 is the eruption between Stora Skagfell and Sonukkur, which is very similar locations that begin from the 18th of December 2023, February 8th, 16th of March, and May 29th, 2024. So scenario 1 is a very similar eruption to those eruptions. The likely precursor is localized earthquake swarm between Stora Skagfell and Seilingerfell, acceleration and deformation and pressure changes in the boreholes in that area. Very short pre-eruption warning time, less than 30 minutes. Lava could reach Grendaviker Vagor near Thorborn within 1.5 hours and near Sorvinji within 3 hours. Okay, so this is kind of like the similar eruption that we saw last month, May 29th, last eruption. Scenario number 2 is a little hot. It's a little spicy. Scenario number 2 is an eruption south of Sonukkur near Hagafell and extending south towards and potentially within northern Grandavik. Southern part of Zone 3 in the hazard map in the northern part of Zone 4. Similar locations to the eruption that began on January 14th, 2024. Okay, so what could happen in scenario 2? The likely precursor is an earthquake swarm starting near Stora Skagfell and Seilingerfell and moving south, accelerating in deformation and pressure changes in boreholes in that area. The warming interval for an eruption in this area would probably be longer than in scenario 1, but it is uncertain how much. The length of the warning period depends on how far south the magma must break a pathway to the surface. Lava could reach Nesvagor and Sudurstrandarvegur within 1.5 hours. Lava flows could potentially close escape routes on land within about 6 hours. In this scenario, lava could reach the sea east of Grandavik within 1.5 to 3 hours. If lava reaches the sea, it could cause localized hazards due to the rapid cooling of the lava. Initially, there would be a hazard due to ash and gas formation, primarily hydrochloric acid, HCI. Within a radius of about 500 meters from where the lava enters the sea, conditions would be life-threatening. A magma intrusion that reaches south of Hagafell will likely cause significant fault movements in Grandavik. There's a possibility that the lava could erupt within Grandavik. One scenario is that the lava erupting from a vent north of the protective barriers at Grandavik could flow into existing fissures and then re-emerge again with the town limits. Another scenario is the possibility of an eruptive fissure opening within Grandavik. However, in such a situation, it is likely that the fissure would first open north of the town before opening within the town limits. So scenario 2, insane, chaotic, nightmare for Grandavik, and it's well outlined and understood. That's why they do these things. But I think everyone's hoping for scenario 1 at this point, if it does erupt, because scenario number 2 is much more dangerous. And I don't think anybody would want scenario number 2. So I'm going to leave the link to this entire update from the Met Office. I'll specifically link the map, the diagram of the eruptions and the hazard map as well. So very interesting update. Looking forward to seeing more data coming soon, and we'll continue to monitor the area and see what happens in the next few days. So take care.